Welcome to 2.5, Unit 2, Lesson 5, Connecting Factors and Zeros Practice Problems. Okay, what is the value when x is 5? Put this in the calculator. Just put 5 in. You don't have to put this in the y equals. You could just put it right in the calculator. Just make sure you substitute x for 5. If you put in the y equals, put the x's in, you're going to have to hit second graph and scroll down to 5, and you'll get your answer, which should be 24. If you didn't get 24, recheck your calculations or ask me when we get to class. But be careful about the pluses and the minuses in between the terms. Okay, so now what we have in this one is we have our roots, our zeros, and our intercepts. And we know we had to change the signs. So the thing is x plus 2 as one factor. And the third factor, change the sign, x minus 5. Now, with the next one, we're going to have to do a little bit of math. So if x is equal to 3/4, to get rid of denominators, multiply both sides by 4, giving us 4x is equal to 3. And we know this has to be 0, so if I subtract 3 from both sides, I get 4x minus 3, and that's equal to 0. So which one has x plus 2, x minus 5, and 4x minus 3? That's D. Okay, this one has 3 factors, which means we get 3 roots, zeros, or x-intercepts. Change the signs on these two. So x is equal to 4, -3. And now for the next one, we got to do a little math. Said 2x minus 3 equal to 0. Add 3 to both sides. 2x is equal to 3. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. And we get 3/2 as our third intercept in no particular order. Okay, let's go back to our sequences. All right, -4 is the previous term minus 4. So what is the previous term minus 4? 7 minus 4 is 3 minus 1. All right, so A goes with 1. B of n is B of the previous term plus 0. So that could go with 3. 8 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0. Okay. Times -1/2. No, -1/2. So one is positive, one is negative. So that's that one. C goes with 2. Now, 1 times the previous term. The first term is 8 times 1 is 8 times 1. So look at that. 2 of them go to 3. Okay, let's look at this problem. Han is multiplying these two terms, and he gets 5x to the 7th power. He says that 0.5x cubed is not a polynomial because 0.5 is not an integer. Han made an error because this is a coefficient. Coefficients can be any real numbers. The exponents have to be whole numbers. So I think Han got confused. The difference between the coefficients. So if you have a variable, this is your coefficient. The number out front is called the coefficient. The number up here is your exponent. If it's the highest one, it's called the degree, but that is your exponent. Exponents, coefficient, any number. Exponents must be whole numbers. Okay, now let's look at this one. Here we go with a box. What can we put in box to make this a polynomial? So, must be whole numbers. D is a whole number. Starts at 0. 1 is a whole number, and 2 is a whole number. You cannot have negatives. You cannot have fractions or decimals in the exponent and it be a polynomial. It's called something else, and we're going to learn that later. Okay, let's look at this graph. the factors are -3 and +2. Now, you got to make sure you change the sign. So that will give you -3 and -2. This will give you -3 and +2. This will give you +3 and -2. +3 and +2. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. B is the best answer, is the only answer. Remember, on a graph, you have to switch the signs because when we say x is equal to -3, it has to be 0. So when you add 3 to both sides, x plus 3 equals 0. And that becomes our factor. Okay, so what we're going to do is distribute and distribute and distribute and distribute, and we're going to get 9 minus 3x plus 3x minus x squared. This is going to give us 9 minus x squared. So A goes with 2. Again, using our distribution. All right, a shortcut to doing these. X times x is x squared. Plus 4 minus 4 is 0. And then plus 4 times -4 gives us -16. So B goes with 3. And for C, we got to do this out because it's not lined up. So 3 times x is 3x. 3 times -3 is -9. X times x is x squared, and x times -3 is -3x. That cancels, -9 plus x squared minus 9. And C matches 1. There's a big difference between x squared minus 9 and 9 minus x squared. The negative makes a big difference. So be careful and don't be sloppy with your negatives. Thank you for watching this video. I will see you in class.